All right, we'd like to welcome former Husker guard and player agent Jeremiah Sherles joining us here. Your feelings about what he was talking about there and how much things have changed in terms of just the dealing with players.
It's becoming the professionalism of amateur athletics. I mean, you look across the board at what it was when Jay and I were in school, where if someone paid for our meal, you're like, oh, my career in college is over, right? They're going to get it done. And now kids are making hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. It's turning more into like the NFL. And I think it's going to be a really good thing for college athletics going forward as long as it's properly managed.
When you look at Nebraska, I mean, what do you know about their NIL and just how it's structured? And I mean, obviously you deal with a lot of other schools. What have you learned about how Nebraska runs things?
Yeah, I think they do a top job. I mean, the 1890 initiative's great. I think with the revenue sharing that's going to be coming next year with the university, obviously that's going to continue with things. But the biggest thing that worries me when I talk with these collectives from other universities are the contracts are very unique. They're very different. Every school has different clauses. Some schools have one collective that runs multiple schools. And, you know, a lot of it is just making sure that in every contract the player's protected. And looking at what Nebraska stands for and looking at some of the contracts that I've seen through them, they do a very nice job.
Jeremiah, what is a, I mean, you represent and work with some college NFL linemen. What is a number for good offensive linemen making potentially NIL nowadays? You
know, it varies from school to school. You know, I know that I've had guys that have transferred from SEC to SEC that make close to $300,000 a year. I've had guys that make close to $200,000 a year. I would say the going rate for a starting tackle is probably close to $750,000 a year for a top tier guy. But then you hear about guys, 5-stars coming out of college or high school that are making $500,000 right away. And so I really think it's going to vary from a school to school's budget perspective. But I'm also just very curious how the NCAA is going to structure once the revenue share comes. Does the collective just come as a money on top piece, or are they going to start to put a little bit more of regulations on what the collectives can do on top of the revenue share?
So you have the revenue share. Maybe you have the collective, plus they could still do regular NIL, right?
Absolutely.
All three of those things?
Yeah, and that's the thing is you can't take anything away. Right? Once the toothpaste is out of the tube, you can't put it back in. You're opening yourself up to litigation. So all of that stuff is going to continue to be prevalent in college athletics. It's just going to continue to get more and more refined. I was really disappointed with the NCAA when they just kind of rolled it out there and said, everyone figure it out for yourselves, because it was just a mess. But I do think Nebraska's done a good job of staying ahead of the curve. I mean, credit to Matt Davidson and that crew and what they've done to stay ahead, because that's how you're going to be competitive in college football.
Jeremiah, we know that number is going to be 22 million for all the schools, and football is saying maybe 12 to 15 is going to be theirs. Any idea, like an equitable way to divide that with your status on? I mean, do you have any clue how they're going to do this?
You know, I think you're going to have to look at it a little bit. The CFL model is probably closer than the NFL model, where you're going to have almost a percentage of your cap can go towards your quarterback. Right? And if that's going to be the model, then okay, the percentage of the cap is going to also vary team to team, because that 15 to 12 million is going to look different for maybe a school like Duke or Kansas that has a bigger basketball program. And so that's going to be different. The other difference is going to be, the great thing about the NFL is everything is shared. Right? Everyone knows the salary cap is this, every player makes this. You can go up and look at it. No one in college football is going to want to share what they're paying their players, because if I'm at Duke and I'm playing left tackle, and let's say I'm making $300,000, and I know that Ohio State's left tackle is making $700,000, and I'm going to hit the transfer portal. Well, I'm going to obviously want to go chase that extra couple $100,000. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the revenue share model rolls, how everyone collaborates, if there is any collaboration, and how that rolls through.
Well, I think the interesting thing, too, is people don't realize is you're dealing with public institutions versus private institutions, and our student athletes going to be employees. So if they're going to be employees in a university, that's public knowledge to potentially say what they're making at a public institution, whereas Notre Dame, Duke, USC, private institutions, they can kind of keep things buttoned down.
Yeah, Penn State,
they can keep things hidden. So it's just kind of a apples to oranges type of situation.
The thing about the employee, I'm glad you brought that up. My partners and I talk about this all the time. The second you become an employee, you're opening up a whole nother can of worms of workers' comp, benefits,
you can be fired.
all of that. I mean, you can be fired, all of that. And so I don't necessarily think that it's going to turn into an employee-employer relationship. It's still going to fall under the name of name, image, and likeness, but it's going to be pay for play. Like everyone hides behind that wall that it's not that. That's essentially what's going to turn into. But the second you go into that employee-employer relationship, that's a whole nother can of worms.
Let's talk about the offensive line play and the run game. In Big Ten play, Nebraska's averaged about 25 carries, about 95 yards, which obviously is not good enough. Who are you blaming? Is it the backs? Is it the line? Is it a mixture? What do you think?
It's a combination of the whole. You know, the run game is so unique. Everything about the run game is unique, and I think everyone can fall into the trap of, oh, it's the running back not hitting the hole, or the offensive line isn't opening the holes big enough. But what it really comes down to is 11 guys executing and going 11 out of 11 on their one-on-one matchups. And what I've seen from the Husker run game so far is it's one guy here or there that's not covering up the linebacker, or the double team's getting split. And it's not just consistently one guy. Everyone is taking their turn. And when that happens, you have inconsistency in the run game. And when you have inconsistency in the run game, it scares offensive coordinators.
Sure.
Every level I've been at, NFL, high school, college, if you don't run the ball effectively early, all of the coordinators start panicking. Well, we can't run the ball today. I guess we better throw it. And it's just hard as an offensive linebacker. Just give it time. Just give it time. But the thing that's really been missing is those explosive runs.
Yep.
Those are the things that when you start saying, how do we get to 150, 160, 200 yards rushing, you got to have some of those explosive runs that go for 20 or 30 yards.
Only 26 right now, 10 plus, which has him 13th in the Big Ten.
Jeremiah, you obviously follow the draft stuff very closely. When you analyze this Nebraska roster of draft-eligible players, and now Sierra Wright would be in that category too, I mean, what are you hearing? Is Tommy Hill still, with his injury, has he slipped down a little bit? What are you hearing on the draft prospect?
Yeah, I think Tommy Hill is obviously our top prospect coming out. I think it's going to be really interesting how well he runs. Obviously, if you play corner in the National Football League now, you got to be running 4.4, 4.3 at minimum.
Yep.
You're seeing guys like Xavier Worthy running 4.2s. You got to have that catch-up speed. I think guys like Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmaker are making money for themselves in the way that they're playing continually, especially the way they're getting after the quarterback. From an offensive line perspective, I think Micah is our best NFL prospect on the front. Now, obviously, he's had his issues going back and forth with some of the coaching staff. I think Ben Hart's going to be more in that free agent range. He's played a ton of football. I mean, he broke my start record 6 years, but no, but I'm not bitter or anything. Yeah. But I think he's a guy.
Ben Scott, too, undrafted free agent, or what do you think?
I think Ben Scott has a chance to be drafted. It's a very talented interior offensive line class this year.
A lot of old guys.
A lot of old guys. This is actually the perfect storm of every sixth-year COVID player, every fifth year, every fourth year, and then the players that also don't have COVID years. This is maybe going to be an 18 to 1900 kid draft class.
Wow.
It's going to be enormous. And so you're going to have guys that have fourth, fifth round grades that go undrafted just because there's only 256 spots.
Right. No doubt.
I want to go back to the run game for a second. Nebraska, you've seen three backs. You've seen Dowdell, you've seen Ramir, you've seen Emmett, and Gabe Irvin at times, mainly those first three, majority. Through the first 6 games, do you like one of those guys better in the run game, the fit, what Nebraska's trying to do offensively?
I think Dowdell probably is the one that I would lean heavier on with the attitude type runs. Obviously, he had the fumble early, which I hate. I mean, ball security is job security. But I love the combination of Emmett and Dowdell. They're such different players. They really bring different skill sets, and it can really keep a defense a little bit on their toes. I love Ramir as more the third down back chance, and also that guy will put his face in the linebacker and pass block. And if I'm watching backs, that's one of my number one things that I'm grading is, hey, when it's time and you got to meet a Mike linebacker in the A-gap, are you up there? Are you cutting him? Are you doing it? And he will go up there and thump him. But if I had to give the nod, I just appreciate the way Dowdell runs between the tackles.
Ramir is the only back in Big Ten play for Nebraska that's averaging over 4 yards a carry.
Yeah,
Everybody else is below that. So.
Yeah, and he's the one that I expect more of those explosive runs to come from. Right, he's more of the veteran guy. And I mean, last year when he went out, our run game went to nothing. And so it's just a blessing to be able to have him back there and kind of lead that younger group.
I'm curious, Dylan Raiola, what are your circles at the highest level saying about him? Is he on at least the conversation radar already?
Oh yeah. I mean, I talked to scouts across the league, like, you guys got a guy, right? Like, and that's what it means. And anytime you have a guy like Dylan, you know you're going to give yourself a chance to win every football game. I mean, you're only as good as your quarterback at every level, and you need a guy that can be the trigger man. And you talk about the NFL, there's probably only given 19 to 20 guys that I would say are true starting quarterbacks in the NFL every year. It's a hard thing to do. And so to have a freshman that's coming in and performing the way he does, he's putting himself in the conversation to be a draft pick even in 3 years.
I saw a survey that ESPN did, and 5 different quarterbacks were picked to be the number 1 overall. Because they really don't know who it is.
No.
For you, have you seen one that you'd say definitely should be the first overall?
I haven't. All these guys, and last year was such a great quarterback class too, and then you start looking at this year's quarterback class. I mean, Shedur's up there, but then you start saying, okay, the NFL is going to look at all the other stuff that comes from not just being a talent perspective, but being an NFL. You've been in NFL locker rooms. To be an NFL quarterback, it's not just about talent. You have to be a great leader of men that are 31 years old and have a family. I mean, and it's a tough thing to do. So you look around, you see Carson Beck in Georgia, and you see some of those other guys. I have not seen a guy that has separated himself to be the clear number one.
I saw Milroe listed at one point.
No.
I'm like, I like him as an athlete, but if you're throwing less than 30 yards, I'm not sure I want that guy throwing the ball.
No, I mean, if you look at the state of the quarterback play in the NFL right now, you've got to be able to air that thing out and throw it as far as you can. I mean, look at Miami. They're scrambling for anyone that can be a quarterback right now.
Yeah, no doubt.
Sticking with the quarterbacks, getting back to run game, would you like to see Harburg implemented more
Yes.
from QB run game going forward, just to try to get the wheels in motion and get really the defense to respect it and spend maybe an extra 10 to 15, 20 minutes preparing for it?
Yeah, I think I would like to see him get a package, a Wildcat type package. But at the same time, I also understand from Satterfield and Rule's perspective of we can't get our backup quarterback hurt.
Yeah. Sure.
Right? If you put Harburg out there and he sprains an ankle or something, you're immediately going, man, now we got to be so much more careful with Dylan. We have to be a little bit more careful. But I do think there's definitely ways to get packages. But the blessing that we have as an offense, we have playmakers everywhere.
Right.
I mean, we have guys all over the field that don't feel like Harburg's just the guy that can go in there and make something happen. But I would like to see him get at least 5 to 8 plays a game with that special package. Just like you said, it makes the defense practice things during the week that prepare for us.
Yeah, and red zone. Have a quarterback that's mobile in the red zone. That's such a big plus.
Yeah, I mean, how many times do we see Adrian Martinez run the zone read and from 5 yards in just walk into the end zone? I mean, the running back is always accounted for in the red zone and run game. The quarterback's the guy that you always have to kind of not account for in order if you want to cover everything. So I think that would be a great wrinkle to bring in too, especially down the low red when you get inside the 10-yard line.
Hey, I know Brett Maher's a guy you're close with.
Yeah.
He can't be on the golf course with you guys anymore. He's working. But, I mean, what has his presence meant, just having him around those kickers and punters?
It's huge. I mean, anytime you can have an NFL player that played, kicked in big games, was in big games, come back and just give that knowledge back. And when you think about the NFL, if you have struggles with a kicker or snapper, usually it's like, just cut him, bring someone else in.
Yeah.
But college football is about developing young men. It's about helping them through their struggles. It's about helping them overcome these things. When you have a guy like Brett that's been through ups and downs, he can really help these guys from a developmental standpoint and also just a situational standpoint, understanding, hey, here's the kicking situation. Here's what we need. Here's where you need to put the ball. Here's the way you need to do things. You cannot bring that kind of experience onto the sideline, and guys are just going to gravitate towards it.
Mick, our producer, made us pick how many games Nebraska won over his last 6. What's your feel based off that schedule?
I think we can definitely go 4-2
in
the last 6 here. Looking at the schedule, you look through, Indiana's going to be a great test. I think they're a very talented football team. UCLA, I feel good about. And then you really look at USC, Wisconsin, Iowa. I mean, Ohio State, I think, is going to be an L. That team is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, if we keep it within 10 there, I think that's a win for us. But if you go look at from the other talent perspective, I think we have a chance to win every single one of those games.
Yeah, no doubt about that. The Indiana one, as good as they are, we can talk about who they played. They really haven't seen a defense like this. And it's also on grass, slows them a little bit. It feels like a good matchup.
Absolutely, and you watch what Northwestern did to them last week. They really tested them in between the tackles and got after them. But Indiana's offense, I think they're averaging close to 40 points a game, if not more. So, I mean, it's going to be a great test for this defense to go up against that hasn't allowed a rushing touchdown, doing all that fun stuff. But at the same time, I think it's going to be more about our offense executing, because if we leave that defense out on the field as long as we have the last couple of times, they're going to start to wear out a little bit.
Yeah, they're number 1 in the Big Ten in scoring offense and number 3 in the country. So obviously they're pretty good. But it still could be a good matchup for Nebraska.
I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Yeah. Jeremiah, we appreciate it, man. Thanks for taking the time.
Absolutely. Anytime. Appreciate you guys.
Like having you come in.